a speeding bullet.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
More powerful than a locomotive.
Hulk! Smash!
Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
There's more to them than meets the eye.
With a purposeful grimace and a terrible sound, he pulls the spinning high tension wires down. Helpless people on subway trains scream bug-eyed as he looks in on them. He picks up a bus and he throws it back down as he waves through the buildings toward the center of town. Oh no, they say he's got to go, 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 Godzilla. Yeah. There goes Tokyo, go, go, Godzilla. They say he's got to go, 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 Godzilla. There goes Tokyo, go, go, Godzilla. They say he's got to go, 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 Godzilla. There goes Tokyo, go, go, Godzilla. History shows again and again how nature points up the folly of man. Godzilla. History shows again and again how nature points up the folly of man. Godzilla. History shows again and again how nature points up the folly of man. Godzilla.
Hey there, boils and ghouls. It's been a long time coming, but the evil clown has returned to the airways to once again rot your minds here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio. And I am joined by the one and only George Garner and Norse
evening.
Misery. We are here to talk all things nerdy. And this summer, it is not failing to start off with all things nerdy. If you are a comic fan, or even a reading fan or a Disney fan, this is the summer for you. If you did not watch Civil War, plug your ears now, because I'm going to give you a couple spoilers out there. And I don't feel bad because I waited. I wasn't on the airwaves, gave you time. And it's been out for almost a month now. So I gave you the time, and I promised a review, and I will. If I had to give a star system, like an upside-down pentagram system, that'd be like the star I'd give. I would definitely give this a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
This movie was incredible. There's no shortness of words for this. I don't know what Marvel's recipe is that they're doing different from DC's recipe for the movies, but movie-wise, Marvel is kicking DC's ass.
It's called a better pedigree. Marvel has always been a better house than DC in the 4-color comics all the way up to CGI movies, and
they're doing it. And I am a DC mark. I totally am. I mean, I'm a Batman. I'm sporting a Flash shirt here. I love the DC universe.
Bulk of your comic collection is more on the DC heavy side.
And of course, I got my favorite Marvel characters, and the Hulk is one of them. We're going to get to another one down the road on tonight's show, but that was incredible. I mean, they even took jobbers that I thought of as really, they should have been in the Avengers first of all.
Yeah.
When it started off, like Ant-Man and Black Panther and
Black Panther was amazing.
Oh, incredible. They captured that character
so well.
That actor did a fantastic job.
I don't think they could have handpicked a better actor to pull that character off.
Yeah, you know who blew me out of the water the most? The Falcon. And I don't like that character. He is definitely, in my mind, he's a jobber.
I'll tell you, no, I haven't seen the movie yet, but it's my own fault, so don't worry about it. As you said. But as far as the Falcon, no, I never did.
Yeah, and
Jobber, he's in between. He's in between. He's kind of
like B class.
Yeah, but not enjoyable. It's like he shows up in a story, and you say, you wait till he's gone.
Not in this movie. In this movie, he kicks ass. He's right up there hanging tough with Iron Man. Like, he is that much of an important character to the point where he's right up there with the tops.
He's Captain America's right hand.
Yeah. I mean, they did some really cool stuff with Ant-Man that I'm not going to spoil too much, that I was very excited to see them pull out.
Well, they gave the character a little bit more personality. As much as he wasn't in this movie for a great amount of time, his character developed a little bit better. You could be like, okay, I could stomach another Ant-Man movie because the first one was okay, not fabulous.
And oh my God, did they nail it? Yeah. Spider-Man was awesome. I mean, I am not. Everybody that's listening to the show that knows me knows that I am not a huge Spider-Man fan. When he's by himself, when he's in a group, okay, I can stomach him. When he was with the Avengers in this one, incredible job casting this actor. Okay, I didn't really
Tony Stark so well.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the CGI bug suit. I mean, that I think was kind of unnecessary. I don't think
it was a nice design, though. It was aesthetically pleasing. You just didn't like that the eyes looked like they blinked.
They did blink, and you don't need this CGI leotard on a superhero. That's really is lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reasoning for that.
But it takes a lot of effort, so it's lazy, but in a not lazy way.
Okay, and this is still a 5-star movie?
Oh, still. Okay. I mean, the action.
I don't know if I'd go 5. I'd go like 4.
Oh, well, that's because you're Nurse Misery. We're not listening to yours.
A miserable witch. I know.
I mean, it had some story to it. It did, to bring it up to where it was going. But when the action started, it was like that roller coaster. You had that slow climb and that downward spiral, and it was in your face the whole movie. And if you haven't watched Age of Ultron,
don't watch this.
Do not watch this, is right, because this is kind of like a direct sequel to that.
Okay.
As much as it is Captain America,
there's important plot points.
It's more of an Avengers movie, and I don't realize
that's all. That's the impression I got. Like, again, I haven't seen the movie itself, but that's the impression I got just from the common attractions and the promos, is that it's the new lineup of the Avengers.
Yeah, it's not really just about Captain America. I don't know why they did that. Called it Captain America: Civil War. Yes, it was about how he divided the faction up.
So now there's the West Coast and East Coast, blah, blah.
But it was more or less the lower Avengers coming up and taking the place of the big ones. Because if you're all out there in the comic world, don't be disappointed because the Hulk does not stick around in the Avengers.
But he's not supposed to.
No.
That's a good thing.
Neither does Thor.
Thor doesn't either. Those guys are big knocker guys that have their own books in the Marvel universe, and they show up as needed. Otherwise, the group that you see on Civil War,
kind of what you got.
that is the Avengers. I mean, that's what you're going to get. And if you don't like those characters, you're not going to enjoy the next couple Avengers movies because they are actually putting in the real Avengers now. I think enough of us geeks complain that...
what, minus Wasp?
Yeah, they still don't have Wasp in it yet.
Well, they figure it's redundant with Black Widow, maybe?
No, Wasp is along the same lines as... But she was around with Pym, so I think that's one of the reasons they're not doing it, because they talked about her being an Ant-Man, and she got lost in the suit and everything, so I think that's their way of talking to her from not being in there.
True.
But I believe the new one, they're going to be having Ms. Marvel coming in, so...
Which will be neat to see who they cast for that.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting to see what's going on with that. But bigger news coming up in, a couple of days. X-Men, Age of Apocalypse is around the corner.
I'm sure there's an early release Wednesday or
We
Thursday.
will get to that in a second, but right now we're going to go down to some music here on Chuckles Crypt, Rhode Island Free Radio. Some Guns N' Roses, Night Train.
Loaded like a freight train, flying like an aeroplane, feeling like a space plane one more time tonight.
Hey, I wonder if they were talking about the night train in Boston, because riding that thing is epidemically scary.
Hazardous to your health?
Yeah, that's definitely a night train to sing about, all the stuff you would see there. True story, more than a couple years, more like a decade ago when I was a younger clown, I decided to visit Salem by myself. Okay, and that's not the big thing. The big thing is I decided to do it in zombie gear. And I rode the train from Providence into the T station up in Boston and switched over to the one in Salem. And boy, you should have seen the looks. Not so much going, but coming back at 2 o'clock in the morning on the train. All the people thinking, am I really sitting next to a zombie right here?
Now, for all the How I Met Your Mother fans out there, have you ever been on the drunk train? I left New York City once, right about 1:30, 2 o'clock closing time a.m. You know, after Cretin 3 had played a gig, I was coming back home to Providence. Everybody on the train was drunk, every single person. I'm thinking, I'm going to get a nice nap on my way back to Providence. No, everybody on the train was wasted.
Puking everywhere, kicking your seat, talking about...
Partying.
Yeah, having a
Sure
good
there's
old
few
time.
Couples having sex. There has to be.
Talking about people that like to have a good time and everything, we're going to go into the X-Men. Now, it's not one of my favorite comic books. I'll tell you that right now. I think it's very kiddish, and I know you're saying, oh, comics are kiddish, but no, I think the X-Men were definitely aimed towards
A younger crowd.
a younger crowd, especially with the cartoons in the 90s.
Love those.
Good cartoon, but unfortunately it was competing with some tough cartoons that were out. You had the Ninja Turtles that they were competing with, Disney's animation stuff that was in the afternoon, and of course you had the Power Rangers later on. So that was a really tough crowd to compete with.
There were a lot of awesome cartoons
Yeah.
in the 90s.
So of course it didn't stick around. There are many versions of the X-Men cartoon out there. If you guys ever want to check them out, some of them up on Netflix. And one of my favorite X-Men's Origins of Wolverine. Unfortunately, the way that they end it kind of pisses you off because they end it halfway through and they don't pick up the season again. So what you get is what you get. Now, as far as the book go, I'll go on record to say this. I'm a huge geek when it comes to the X-Men villains. There isn't like the power of the X-Men villain universe. The heroes, on the other hand, may I say more than just Cyclops?
I thought you were going to go Jubilee.
Jubilee. And your favorite over there?
I liked Gambit.
Gambit, the guy that throws lit up cards at people.
I liked him as a kid, but I liked magicians, and I'm like, ooh, he's doing card stuff. He's kind of like a really super powerful
Those
magician.
guys are
That's awesome.
stupid. Stupid. And I get so tired of hearing Cyclops cry and complain about
He
Jean
was
Grey
pretty whiny.
that you're waiting for for Wolverine to bitch slap him with the claws. Like, dude, get over it. I did your girlfriend. Your girlfriend doesn't like you anymore. Get over it.
Better than you.
Yeah, but he's so whiny that you just want to choke him. And he
But
becomes
he's teacher's pet, though.
he becomes one of the catalysts that starts up the whole Avengers versus X-Men thing. He starts a war between two factions. That's how much of a little whiny bitch he is.
Yeah, although that's not unusual that the villains outdo the good guys.
Oh, they do too.
I mean, but that's not unusual. I mean, if you really think of any, whether it's comics, whether it's film, whether
Pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling, yeah. I mean, think about the bad guys. Think about the good guys. I mean, this holds true but I will agree with you, by the way, that X-Men was never my favorite comic. Just the characters themselves. Just something was missing. I always preferred the Avengers. I always preferred even the Defenders. I mean, I just was not a big X-Men fan, so I agree with you there. But, I mean, think of everything from Star Wars to the Avengers. I mean, without the villain,
What would Star Wars be without Darth Vader?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's very tough. Or Spider-Man without the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
The Avengers without Loki.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying it's very hard to make good guys as interesting as the bad guys.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
It does happen. And
it can, yeah.
It does. A good portion of that. You could compare the Incredible Hulk. He's cool no matter what, even if he does have
he can be like almost that anti-hero style.
Yeah, the Hulk is almost a tweener, though.
Yeah, he is, but he's still not a supervillain.
He's not a supervillain, but he's not always a superhero. Sometimes the heroes have to fight him. So,
but he's still cool, nevertheless, on his own.
Yeah.
He doesn't
a great
need
character.
Villains to carry him on. Whereas someone like the X-Men, now the original X-Men, Nurse Misery, do you know who they are?
I only remember from comics, so I mean the cartoon. So that's my base of memory.
George, do you remember them? The original?
No. Like I said, I gave them a try and then I passed.
Wow, you've even stumped George Garner tonight.
Yeah.
I had to pull it up myself because I didn't remember the originals because, like Nurse Misery,
I would have some
I
educated
go
guesses,
by the cartoon because
I'm thinking Cyclops.
Yep, he's one of them.
Beast, I would assume.
Beast is one of them.
Beast. Although wasn't the Beast part of a group before the X-Men?
Could have been, but he's in this. He's part of the
he's
original.
original X-Men.
Yep.
What about Nightcrawler?
Nope.
Jean Grey?
Nope.
Storm.
Nope.
Okay,
Professor
I quit.
Xavier?
Well, of course, Professor
I had
Xavier
to throw in
is
the obvious just because I'm like,
yeah. But
I
as
need
far
a point
as
here, I'm striking out.
original X-Men, and I'm saying yellow and blue suit, Beast before he was even blue, he just looked like basically he looked like one of those.
Kind of like a shaved gorilla.
No, he looked like a hobbit in a blue and yellow suit running around.
Yeah.
You had Angel or Archangel later on. He had the angel wings, and his father ripped them off. He ends up getting the mechanical ones. And you had Iceman, kind of a rip-off of DC's rogue character there. I'm not going to mention. And then you have Marvel Girl, which...
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But then you would get into the classic X-Men that we all know of.
Clearly Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Beast, Nightcrawler, which I did like Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is pretty badass. I don't think they've captured him right yet.
They've done him justice here and there, but he could be done better in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think he's been hit right yet. But there's a whole bunch of them, including Magneto. Once upon a time,
I forgot about that. He
was a good guy before he went to bad side. But as far as the villains go, incredible. One of my favorites coming out of the X-Men universe is Onslaught. If you don't know who Onslaught is, get the books, pick them up and read them. He is a figment of Professor Xavier's head. That tells you how powerful Professor X was and how he tried keeping
his own inner demons.
This stuff inside of him, because when this beast is released onto the Marvel Universe, he kills ruthlessly. Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men. It took a lot to tackle this guy down. And, of course, we got the movie that's coming out Friday, Age of Apocalypse. Apocalypse is a badass character. You guys are going to find out. Thank God they didn't go with the purple monstrosity that they were showing when they first were doing the trailer to this. But he's a badass character. And then, we said it before, Magneto. The dude can control metal and the magnetism. The Earth runs off of magnetism.
Yeah, now, and is this a spot since Magneto came up? Would I be amiss to say he's probably my favorite guy on the X-Men?
Oh, no.
He is. I mean, at least in the movies, we mentioned we're dealing with movies. I mean, the problem to me with the movies is I'm always rooting for Magneto because the scenario he lays out, the humans hate what's different. Yeah. They want to kill the mutants.
He always has a valid point.
But it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have trouble even just, why would any of the mutants, seeing what human beings are like, why would they even fight Magneto?
Yeah.
In other words, you see,
Magneto's like an extreme version of Martin Luther King. He's like, I've had enough of what you're doing to my people. I'm going to fight back.
Right, and it's even more than Martin Luther King. It harkens back to the treatment of the Native Americans.
Right.
I mean, and that's the example. I mean, if you're a mutant, all you have to do is look at that.
Yeah.
And that's what's in your future. I mean, there's no way around it. You know, the humans can talk nice. They can. There is no way around it. There's going to be a showdown.
Yeah.
So that's when I can't. I have a hard time.
Like, logically, how did
Like,
they
yeah, logically,
not want to be on his side?
Exactly. How would you, or at the very least, be neutral?
Yeah.
But not fight against them.
No, like,
I mean, it makes no sense.
you would think there'd be the humans, the mutants, and then this neutral middle mixed of humans and mutants.
Yeah, those are the mutants and humans that have sex.
Yeah.
Seriously, that'd be the in between.
Let me tell you something, too. A man that can control magnetism stops the rotation of the Earth.
We all die.
We're all dead. We're flying off and going into outer space
but
and popping.
Yeah, but including him and his followers. So, I mean,
Well, he's got enough stuff where he puts a bubble around him. It doesn't affect him.
yeah, but destroy the whole world and then come out of your bubble. I mean,
Your bubble's gonna pop
This is a man
eventually.
that took a full flipping island and with his powers was able to have it float in outer space.
Yeah, he
And he
created
still
the little
had
atmosphere and
reserve
everything.
powers to still kick your ass.
right. So actually, the fight between them, well, except for the X-Men, the fight between the mutants and the humans should be a short one.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be very
I mean, it
short.
Really should.
Humanity shouldn't last
I mean, even
long.
Wolverine learned a valuable lesson not to mess with him when he ripped out his antimanium out of his pores.
And even
It's
that,
like-
you still have metal in your blood, so you can still be controlled and tortured by this
And
man.
there's metal everywhere on this earth. There is not a place where you can't find it. Ocean, freaking, it's part of the earth's elements, and it's all around us. Especially with nowadays, with modern technology, it's not too much to pull a satellite out of the atmosphere and drop it on your head.
Right now, in the X-Men movies, they're not part of the Marvel universe, correct?
They are not
They are
part of the
not.
Marvel universe. And I tell you this, we'll talk about this in a second. Disney is biting it to pieces, and they want the X-Men series probably more than they want the Incredible Hulk series. But we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to go down to some tunes, some 3 Days Grace. And yes, when Magneto took that island up into space and had all his followers, misery does love company.
Of the past you left behind. I don't need your condescending words about me looking lonely. I don't need your arms to hold me, 'cause misery is waiting on me. I am not alone, not beating down just yet. I am not afraid of the voices in my head. Down the darkest road, something follows me. I am not alone, 'cause misery loves my company. Misery loves my company.
Yeah, Nurse Misery does love company. That's why she keeps me locked up in the insane asylum, only to let me out once in a while to produce this great radio show that is on Rhode Island Free Radio. What is that great radio show again? It is Chuckles Crypt. And coming up next, the Haunted Cabaret, all things haunted and evil, and a step into the darker side, as I would say it. We're tiptoeing on the lighter, cheerier side. But once we get into that Twilight Zone, oof, you guys better buckle in and be ready for that roller coaster ride, because someone's bound to puke. So we're here talking about the X-Men and how Disney really does want this franchise. They want, I believe Fox is the ones that owns them right now. They want them to let go of that eventually, which I don't think they're going to, because it is a heavy moneymaker for Fox, just like the Avengers are for Disney. They're not going to. They just got Spider-Man, and they're pretty happy with the rights to that and having to be able to put him in the film. But I can guarantee you that those greedy mouses with the upside-down Celtic symbols are putting their teeth to that proverbial vampire fruit and trying to suck everything out of the Marvel Universe so they can pinch every dime out of our wallets.
Yeah, but like I said, during the music when we were off air, I mean, unless you want to reboot the X-Men series, given where the movie series and the character development and the story developments are right now, with the Avengers, with Thor, Captain America, X-Men, and the whole thing, there is no plausible way to join up the X-Men and the Avengers, rather the rest of the Marvel Universe, after the fact.
I think they would just ignore it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what they would probably do, and then I and other legions of people would hate it, and they wouldn't care because enough stupid people would like it.
Yeah.
And say, oh, well, we'll ignore it too.
I mean, they ignored the first two Spider-Mans when they threw this kid in there. They didn't even make mention to any of that stuff. It's like, well, Spider-Man's been here. Boom, there you go.
And they totally changed a lot of the plot points and stuff. But
And that's what they would do with this. They would say, okay, yeah, the X-Men were in New York City, but while the Avengers were taking care of point A and B, the X-Men were over in the Savage Island taking care of point C and D with the dinosaurs, so it had no time to do with
by
that.
All means, I mean, Marvel Comics, all through their history, they could bend and twist a storyline, yes. I mean, but I'm not saying Marvel Comics wasn't really good at that. The only practical way, though, I mean, not to insult some of our nerdish intelligence, would be, well, DC has the answer with the multiverse.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now, if you're going to do anything, if you're going to be rapacious corporate money grubbers, just steal the multiverse.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't have to be the multiverse. It can just be an alternate reality.
Yeah.
You don't have to be multi about it. Just
whatever.
They break through into another reality, another dimension.
You're missing Fantastic Four too, and they're when they did the Civil War story, and they broke this out. If you guys are listening, spoiler alert. They're part of the comic books. The Fantastic Four are part of the Civil War, and all the Civil War was basically, and I don't know why. Okay, I do know why they called it Civil War, but all it was inside the Avengers. They didn't suck anybody else in from the Marvel Universe, which is what this was kind of missing. That's the only thing. Right. I don't think they should have called it Civil War. It should have been called, something like War Within, because Civil War entired the whole Marvel Universe.
Right, it would imply everybody taking sides.
Yeah, and they were taking sides on this fight, and that is not what happened. And, of course, the X-Men, too. And that is one character that the Avengers are missing that I guarantee you, if you added this guy in there, the seats, you would not be able to keep them empty. And, yes, I am talking about Wolverine. He is an Avenger, and he is one of those characters in the Marvel Universe where he fits wherever the hell he wants to. He is the one and only X-Men that I really like. And that's the only thing that kept it tolerable for me for the X-Men itself was him and his quirky one-liners. But I appreciated him a lot more when he was on his own doing his own movies and stuff, than versus with.
I don't know what the general opinion was, but I did too. I thought the movie The Wolverine was. I thought that was superior.
Yeah, X-Men and X-Men 2, I really didn't like. I tell you this right now, as far as movies go, they didn't catch me. I didn't find them entertaining at all. And then we got into X-Men: The Last Stand, which the entertainment started to pick up for me. I enjoyed the third one. X-Men Origins of Wolverine, I really liked that one.
Yeah.
X-Men First Class, really decent flick. And, of course, you had the Wolverine, which was 2013. Didn't really like the way that they did the samurai. And then you had X-Men's Days of Future Past, which was a really good flick. I don't know why they're adding Deadpool in this list of the X-Men. Probably because he just... Oh, wait, Colossus is in it. And there is a jobber in there. That's all I'm going to leave it. Some nuclear, whatever her name is.
Yeah, like teenage something, nuclear, whatever. It was... I had to look at you and say, is that a real superhero name? Because that's terrible.
It was bad.
It was so terrible, I can't even remember it.
Question, Chuckles, before we get off the subject of crossing over and joining X-Men up with... In the Marvel 4-color comics of yesteryear, now, for a while, if I'm not mistaken, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, X-Men, all inhabited... They didn't cross over, right? They were all inhabiting their own universe.
Yeah.
In the Marvel comics. At what point did they start crossing over? Was that like... I think it was as late as the 70s, wasn't it?
That's a good question. That's something I would have to look up because it's not really something I was concentrating on.
But it is a good question because...
It is good because they all had different writers and different story backgrounds, and eventually they crossed
Yeah, so that's why
over.
I think the only way it would work is do the parallel universe thing. And then the best part about that is you can pick and choose.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have to bring all the jobbers, nerds.
Yeah, leave Gambit and Jubilee back. I mean, come on. The girl launches fireworks at someone. I'm like, yeah, that's impressive. That's entertaining. Not going to hurt me. I mean, it might give me a little burn and flash my eyes, but in the world of Marvel villains, you're throwing firecrackers at the Juggernaut.
Yeah, that's going to be successful.
No, he's going to smush you into the ground. You're throwing fireworks at, like, some of these villains that like one of my favorites, Omega Red. What are you gonna do to him throwing flashcards at him?
She had to be bait. She always had to
Even
be bait.
Gambit,
just look over here. I sparkle.
I mean, okay, you
I'm
got
a
this
vampire.
Louisiana thief. Okay, I see where the girls get the enthused. He's a bad boy. He throws lit cards at people. But the Joker can light a card on fire and throw it at someone, too. Doesn't mean he's awesome.
Well, I liked the Joker and Gambit when I was a kid, so
Speaking of lame female superheroes, wasn't there a woman called Halo or something like that?
There probably was.
She created rainbows and holograms. And
there was some weird
That's
aspects.
my word.
I think it came out during the late 70s or 80s disco era.
I wouldn't
That
doubt
sounds
it.
very 70s.
We'll have to look that up during the break to see this character.
Marvel hit some dregs, believe me. And I agree with you. I have no desire to see these people again.
No.
I really don't.
I mean, Rogue, okay, she's cool. I mean, this girl can, like, she can take your powers
she
and
touches
then
you and she's got your powers.
she
and
can
you're
whomp
knocked out.
your ass. Storm, okay, that's a cool character. She can play with the elements and everything. That always makes it a little entertaining. An emo guy that shoots a laser beam out of his eyes, and I wasn't into. Frasier playing Beast in the movie.
That was amazing.
That was pretty cool. I mean, that was a different cast of the characters to play him. The younger kid that I think's playing him now does a better job.
But for the time, he played the character
Right.
well and owned it as an older version.
And Beast is just like a super strong gorilla that's blue.
Yeah,
and
actually,
he's smart.
Nurse Mizzy, at some point before we leave here tonight, check up on the Beast. Let's get a history.
Okay.
Because like I said, I remember in the dregs of my mind that the Beast, he was part of a group from like maybe the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
That explains the haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to find that out. We're going down to a song here on Chuckles Crypt Island Free Radio, and we'll come back and we'll get some people's around the table their favorite X-Men and villains. I mean, that's some cool. Maybe we'll we'll include our producer over here, Mr. Tony Jones, because
If he behaves.
he is, if he stops crapping his pants on air. So let's go down to some Alice Cooper. We are a bunch of sick things around here.
Sick things in cars rotate round my stars. Sick things, my things, my pets, my things. I love you things I see as much as you love me. You things are heavenly when you come worship me. You things are chilled with fright, for I am out tonight. You fill me with delight. You wet my hair, bed tights. I eat my things. What love it brings. Come here, my things, and don't fear, my little things. All of you things I see as much as you love me. You things are heavenly when you come worship me. You things are thrilled with fright, for I am out tonight. You things are paradise. You wet my hair, bed tight. In cartridge tapes, my stars, sick things, pretty things, playthings, my things. All of the things I see as much as they love me. You things are heavenly when you come worship me. You things are chilled with fright, for I am out tonight. You things are paradise. You wet my hair, bed tights.
Now, we don't have much time. Unfortunately, we're getting down to the last 10 minutes of the show, so we're going to quickly go around, and then we have a couple events up and coming that we need to talk to you about. And stick around, because the Haunted Cabaret is coming up next here on Rhode Island Free Radio. The best 2 hours that you will find anywhere in the broadcast universe. Guaranteed. Even if I am talking bullshit, I am a definitely talented bullshit talker. That's why I'm an evil clown. Now, we're talking all things X-Men, and yes, the Age of Apocalypse is coming up. And I said this at the break. damn you, movie theaters. You're going to be getting twice my pay because, unfortunately, it comes out the same day as Alice in Wonderland.
And triple your pay if you decide to buy a cup
Food.
of soda.
Yeah. So I got to appease the pregnant wife and watch Alice in Wonderland, but that does not mean I am not going to stick around and see X-Men because I'm not going to wait till the next day for one of you little assholes to ruin it up on Facebook and tell me the whole story.
Spoiler alert.
Or on the radio through 94 BJY.
Well, like I say, just use the old Gorner approach to seeing these movies. You pay one price, you go in there for the first show, and then...
we don't say anything else about what you're going to do right now because then they'll know my plan and they will stop me because those kids are listening right now.
Oh, the kids don't care.
Yeah, well, they might. They might be one of those kids that wants to get up and come in and become a boss. You never know.
I want to run the popcorn machine.
I want a promotion.
Yeah, so I could get
butter your popcorn.
I want to make $10.15 an hour.
Now, we are all things comic books, and you guys out there are saying, what are some of the best X-Men comics you've read? And hands down for me, anytime the X-Men end up in Savage Island, I'm really excited because you have X-Men and you have dinosaurs. Eventually, Wolverine's going to be stabbing some T-Rex in the throat with his claws, and Storm's going to be getting chased by Sauron. Sauron, if you haven't mentioned, I said the villains were the best. He is one of my favorite. He's a pterodactyl that can mind control you. He's a pretty cool villain, and he's not a bird brain. He's smarter than a lot of other villains out there. I really like him. And I'm hoping somewhere down the road they introduce him into the X-Men movie series, along with one of my all-time favorites, and this is where we're starting. When you go villain-wise, I have to stop from the start and give you a couple because I can't give you just one. Omega Red, badass villain. When it takes a point where a man by the name of Colossus has to hold you there so you could be frozen because there's no other way of defeating you, that's pretty cool. Of course, we talked about it. Magneto, really cool. I said Sauron. And yes, I'm going to do the last two, of course, being Mr. Apocalypse, because we're going into the Age of Apocalypse, and Onslaught. Now, if you go as far as heroes, I only have one in the X-Men universe that's my favorite, and that is Wolverine, because he's one of my favorite Marvel characters, even if he wasn't in the X-Men. The dude's badass. There's just no way around him. I mean, he gets ripped in half by the Incredible Hulk. One half of his torso is thrown across the world, and the other half is thrown across the opposite side of the world, and he still survives it. I mean, that's pretty cool. So, yes, Age of Apocalypse, I will be watching it after I watch Alice in Wonderland, so it's going to be a long day of me drinking Mountain Dew and visiting the movie urinals.
Yes.
So, Nurse Misery,
Clown's room.
what are some of your favorite X-Men villains and heroes? And please don't be stereotypical.
Well, you've already busted my balls for it. So I do like Gambit. He was one of my favorites as a kid. I enjoyed him, and Rogue was probably my the female counterpart where I thought she was entertaining and enjoyed her. From the villains, I'm trying to remember the names. Like, clearly you don't want, like, the classics. Like, of course, Magneto's amazing and totally badass.
Why can't you have the classic? If you like Magneto, you like Magneto.
Well, you just said don't pick the usuals.
No, I did not say that. I said don't be stereotypical. I thought you were going to go all-female crew on me.
No.
But no, you didn't.
No.
But no, you can still pick Magneto if you think he's badass.
Yeah, I always enjoyed him. And I can't remember the other person I like offhand because my brain is kind of fried.
Pregnancy brain.
It's
worse
failing me.
than pot brain.
It
ladies
is.
and gentlemen.
Oh my God, it's terrible. I feel.
So we're going to skip over you for the villain. Otherwise, can
Yes.
go right to George Garner because he has valuable information for us.
Well, not so much valuable information, but maybe a little slightly askew insight. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Magneto is my answer to both, because in the X-Men universe, I don't see him as the bad guy.
And he's not sometimes.
This is right. He is the Martin Luther King. He is the Sitting Bull, the Geronimo of the mutants.
Yeah.
He is the Thomas Door
He's the only
of the X-Men universe. You guys don't even know what Thomas Door is.
If anybody out there listening gets that reference, contact the station and you get a prize.
We have Narragansett
Yeah.
in the refrigerator.
And don't look it up on Google either. So it goes with, and I said I was going to go to our producer, and yes, Mr. Jones is a nerd, and he grew up in the X-Men universe watching the cartoons. So, Tony, I hate to put a point in your Lieutenant Governor's ranking, but maybe this would help you next time. What is your favorite X-Men and X-Men villain?
Well, I have to go with Magneto also. But by the way, I cannot believe you're not a fan of Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I mean, come on.
Oh, that was her name. Thank you for
sucked.
looking that up.
Teenage Warhead?
Yeah.
She was horrible. And before we go into these things, by the way, everybody said, watch Deadpool. You're going to love it. I did not. I did not.
I
it.
can
It was
see
tolerable.
how it appeals to the millennial generation, though,
Right.
character-wise.
But as far as villain-wise, those guys were stupid.
Yeah.
There was no one I didn't even care
They were
who they was
putties.
fighting. Yeah. And then the whole, okay, come on, why the origin story?
It was like
I
a whiny
don't
love story.
give a living truck about the origin stories of Deadpool. If I want to know about it, I will go get the damn book and read it. They were doing so well with how they started, and then they had to go back to the flippin' origins crap. Not necessary.
It sounds like they made that movie. It was supposed to be like a superhero movie for those people who don't care for superhero
Right.
movies.
Yeah, they were trying to bring in a new generation.
Right.
But for my good guy, you guys are very talked him to death, but it would have to be Beast just for the fact that he thought he was getting out of it. He thought he was going to go back to normal, not have to be a mutant anymore. And how did that work out?
Not so
It
well.
worked out in his favor. Things
Hanging
always got a little worse.
upside down for the war room or the chemistry room, trying to keep his inner emo in and just say, the hell of it, I'm a mutant. So Nurse Misery, we got about 3 minutes left. And
Let me
what's
ramble
coming
these off pretty quick. So our next event is going to be a parade. We will be at the Gatsby Day Parade, which is going to be in the Narragansett Parkway, Warwick, Cranston area, June 11th.
Which, by the way, kudos to you guys on that. For anybody out there who doesn't know, that's not a parade where you just sign up and you're in it. It takes a little bit of finesse to get into that
you
event.
need to apply. And
like
you need
years
to,
in advance.
And we got lucky. I mean, the parade committee chairperson, she was wonderful and very sweet to us.
Now, there's a different parade that happens in Providence, and you guys can just show up and get right into that.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of Providence parades we can just create on our own.
One of these days we have to do that Pride Parade. I have no problem with that. I think we have to. It's just there's too much stuff conflicting with that.
I think it just hasn't worked in our schedule,
No.
and that's the only reason we haven't been able to make that a priority in the past. But after the Gatsby Day Parade, which will be June 11th, we will be attending the New England Quahog Festival's event, which is going to be June 25th, and there's going to be a sea creature parade to kick off that event, and you will see Chuckles and crew and some...
That is epic. But
Yes.
even more epicness is Johnny and the Earthquakes are going to be playing there. That is flipping phenomenal.
All the way from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Exactly. So if you don't want to just see Chuckles in a shark suit and me very pregnant in a mermaid costume, which is a little comical in and of itself.
Now, they may never let me do anything in Wickford again after you guys and Johnny Earthquake show up, but
That's
we'll see.
okay.
Especially when they see Johnny and I hugging. They're
I
going
may
to be
be
like they're in cahoots.
I may be run out of town on a rail after that.
Yeah,
There's room in Connecticut.
hometown may not love you so much after that, Tony. After that, we will have a third parade. Yes, folks, 3 parades this summer. We are going to be walking our little clown butt skinny this year. We will be in the Ancient and Horribles Parade, which is going to be July 4th, which is a Monday, up in the Gloucester, Rhode Island area. It's going to be start off at the Chepachet Union Church and go on down through the Chepachet area.
And that's where I historically shook Governor
And
Chafee's
almost
hand.
President Chafee.
Yep. And
Yes.
I watched as Governor Chafee got splatted right in the face with a water balloon.
Yes,
and
because
everybody
we were directly behind
Yeah.
him, and I was afraid they were going to blame you.
and everybody gives that man shit and he
took
does
that like
deserve
a
it.
champ,
That kid
though.
could have been that kid could have been arrested for assaulting
Like,
a political figure.
He got nailed pretty good, and he just shook it off, smiled and waved, and
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, kudos to you,
Who else
man.
would have done that? They would have had that kid in the ground curb stomping his face on the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
and he was just like, whatever. I was hot anyways.
Yes, Governor Chafee, not the brightest man, but he's got a good sense of humor.
Kudos to you for taking it like a champ, sir. Our next event to help close out our summer's festivities will be Ocean State Paracon, which is going to be in July, which is a 2-dayer. July 16th and 17th at the Assembly Theater in Harrisville, Rhode Island. This year, their charity of choice is going to be the Coalition for Rhode Island Against Domestic Violence. So it's a great charity. They have huge raffles. They have a lot of celebrities coming down, especially in the paranormal field. And lo and behold, our dear Chuckles the Klown is on their celebrity list this year, thanks to Ken DaCosta.
All right, boils and ghouls, as we're going to wrap things up. We're going to go down for some Young Guns Bones very shortly, and then we will be back for the Haunted Cabaret, where this roller coaster ride is about to get flippin' scary.